what's up? It's me, Gazbot, and this is Toy Shot. Toy Shot with Gazbot. Gazbot's Toy Shot. It sort of flows, it sort of doesn't, whatever. This is going to be the final one that I'm doing in a row, playing catch-up. So the next one you see, I will have a different outfit, probably be in a different place. And change is lovely. So today, I went to Salinas with my pal Alex, and he's like one of my main toy hunting buddies. And the reason we went down there, it's about an hour south of me, was there was an advertised free toy show. There was no admission, and he said he'd drive. So I was like, you're driving? No admission? Sold. So I went down there, and it was sort of a warehouse. Actually, I took a little bit of footage. I'll go ahead and show you. It's just a little bit of footage. It was sort of a warehouse, not a warehouse, storage area, storage, I don't know. What do you call those things? Like on Storage Wars. It's a storage unit. But his was sort of built like two next to each other, and they're almost like a toy store. Like they had IKEA detolf shelves and kind of displays like what I have behind me. And there were like 3 or 4 people on either side that also sold toys, and that was the toy show. It was like 4 vendors, 5 vendors maybe. And I guess this guy who owned this one is open like every weekend, but then once every month or two everybody opens. So it was kind of small. I recommend going maybe once if it's near you, but of course, you know, who knows where you live when you're watching this. And I saw he had a good mix of stuff, I will say that, from 70s, 80s, 90s up to today. He had Japanese stuff, he had American stuff, he had comic books, and he had a little bit of everything. So that was good. But the prices, a lot of his stuff wasn't labeled, and it was a lot of, his dad was there, I guess, making sure people didn't steal stuff, but he was the only one running it. And it was reasonably busy. So it was constantly hard to get his attention. He's on the phone, he's talking to other people, and I just want to know how much a figure is. So I eventually got his attention, but it was weird because, like I said, half the stuff wasn't priced. So you had to ask, and then he seemed to be one of these people that's like making it like, oh, that, 17. And then, okay, you know, and so one of the first things I saw was in one of these detolf cases, which is just a glass case. On the bottom shelf area, it was a mess. It looked like some Transformers and a few other things that appealed to me. But they weren't stood up. They weren't even stood up. It was just like literally like a pile. Like they all fell over on top of each other, and they put more on top of that. So it wasn't locked, and I opened it. And I actually later saw a sign that says ask for assistance, which I didn't see. But considering there'd be no way I could get his attention for assistance, and when he saw me looking at it, he didn't get mad. Whatever, I guess it was fine. But I found 4 or 5 of this line, this Sola Papinica or whatever it is. I'm not even sure if they were the Japanese version or the American version. I think they were the Japanese. He didn't have this one, funny enough. He had the Varadoran, which was from Go Ranger, that I'd seen previously, although it was in worse shape than the one I saw the other day that I didn't buy. And the one the other day I didn't buy was $10, which actually if I go back to that flea market, I'll probably get it. I digress. But he had that one and 3 others, which I didn't know the names of. I'm not even sure if they were Go Ranger or something else. But they were all Japanese die-cast little things. One had a big drill in the front. They were really cool. And I was like, how much are these? And he's like, oh, those are really expensive. Which struck me as odd because even if he was charging top dollar, he doesn't know how much money I have. It's not like I look like a beggar and, you know, like okay, how much could they possibly be that you're not going to tell? Like, it was this, those are expensive. Like, you don't want them. But B, if he thinks of these as expensive pieces, why were they buried under a bunch of Transformers and other stuff in a pile? And I can't stress that enough. Oh, you know what? I took a picture. Here's the picture. So it was weird to me that after I dug them out, like if I thought these were like hot, rare pieces that are valuable, I'd have them at least not in a pile. So anyway, I was like, what? He's like, well, you're looking at over $100 there. And I'm like, okay, for these 4, that seems like a lot, because having got that other piece, I did a little research, and while they're not rare, they're desirable, but they're not especially rare, especially since there's American versions of them that are cheaper. And like the one I got was in decent shape. I paid $15. You know, if somebody wanted top dollar, maybe $25, maybe if it was in a little bit better shape. His were all in as bad a shape as the one I had or worse. They all had scratches. None of them had their missiles. None of them had their accessories. That, you know, again, they're in a pile. And so I was like, well, like how much for this one then? I picked up the one that was drilled. He's like, oh, like $35. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man, they're metal, right? I'm like, yeah, but in this condition? And he didn't seem to want to like haggle or like come down at all. It seems like somebody told him what they were worth at some point, and he just was sticking to it. It was weird. Because he didn't even say, well, if you get all of them, I'll give you a deal or whatever. And like, honestly, I wanted to pay 10 to 15 a piece. If he said 20, I might have went 20, you know, on 1 or 2 of them. But when he wanted over 100 for the 4 of them in the condition they were in, after I dug them out, it was just weird. So that was a bust. I reluctantly, well, I looked in a case. Actually, a friend, Alex pointed this out to me, although to be fair, I would have seen it. And I saw this. Now, I am an Ultraman fan in general. This is Ultraman Zero. He is more modern. I think he was maybe like 6 years back, something like that. He's not the newest, but he's definitely in like the modern era of the 2000s. And he is about a foot tall, give or take. And so I like big toys. I like Ultraman. And he speaks. He speaks Japanese, but he speaks. And he lights up. That's his timer running out. He's got a lot of different vocalisms, a lot of sound effects. See, light and sound. So I was like, this is great. This is exactly the kind of toy I want, and exactly the kind of thing I don't normally see, especially being in America, you know. And I was like, wow. I'm like, he probably wants $1 million for that. So I'm like, how much is this? And he's like, $10. Which, now this time, his random pricing worked out to my advantage. Because honestly, I would have paid $20 for this if I had to. But $10, I didn't even think about it. And I looked into the case, and I saw this guy was still sitting there. This is Glenfire, who, I'm not sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy, to be honest, because I haven't watched a lot of Ultraman Zero. But he also speaks. Now, he doesn't have a light, and I'm not sure if he's supposed to, and it's broken. I probably shouldn't talk while he's speaking. I'm not sure if he's supposed to have a light and it's broken or not. But either way, I said, how much is the other one? He said 10 as well. So I said, sold. I grabbed them both. I've since looked online. I couldn't find a Glenfire. I did find Ultraman Zero and Ultraman Saga, who's another from this sort of era. They were going for about $23 with $12 shipping from Japan. So like $35 shipped. So the fact that I got two of them for $20 was totally worth the drive. It's one of the best scores I've had in a long time. Not just in terms of, oh, I got a good deal with money, which I did, but they're the exact kind of toys I like. They're the exact kind of toys I don't find because we're in America, and you know, if you do find these, they're at a collector shop, and I didn't know they existed. It's not like I've been looking for these. It's just like, oh wow, a cool type of toy I didn't know existed that I want, that I got at a reasonable price. It was like a perfect storm of toy collecting. It made me very happy. After that, and Alex got a few things too. He got some deals on some X-Men figures, and there was a Turbo, Power Rangers Turbo, I'm blanking on the name. I want to say Signal Man, but I think that was the Sentai. It's like a police car that turns into a robot, which I kind of wanted, but you know, whatever, he got it. And he got it for a good deal. It was like $8. After that, we just started stopping at Targets and Toys R Us's. Stopped at a Target down there. I'm recording this in August of 2015. So Dino Charge is about to go into the second half of Season 1, but they still have Super Mega Force figures on the shelves, which is the American Gokaiger. And they had this red Turbo. And I haven't really been collecting this line. That season, they brought back a lot of old Ranger Power, so that's why they have figures of like most of the Reds and a couple Six Rangers. But I don't have any Turbo figures. Like I said, I want a representation. And a lot of the Turbo, the American figures at least, look terrible. And I've seen a couple Japanese ones that also look terrible. So while this is not my favorite line, having this Turbo, and I got him for retail, which was like $9, or $9, $9.50 maybe. You know, he's gonna be my Turbo until something better comes along. So there you go. And online, he's like 15 or 20 already. Went to a Walmart. Dino Charge Wave 2 theoretically has been out for a while, but you could never find it. But I went ahead and I found the Graphite Ranger. Now the reason I probably found him is because the box is all smashed up. Now again, he was retail. I think there it was on sale, so it was like $8.50 or $9. I open my toys, so the fact that the package is smashed up, I don't care. I got a Graphite Ranger. Now, they do have an SH Figure Arts of him, which I'd probably prefer, but it's a lot more expensive, and, you know, this is a good placeholder at the very least for that. Oh, I almost forgot. When I was at the toy show, the other thing I got was this Mega Force. Now, Mega Force I did not like. It was my least favorite Power Rangers season I've seen. Now, I haven't seen all of them, but from what I've seen, it was my least favorite. However, I did get a couple of this line for really cheap, like $1 or $2. And this guy is metallic, and he's got a card for the Ghost Amorpher. This is the American version again. So I asked how much it was. He said $7. And this time I said, would you take $5? And he said, yeah, but I think it's because we're buying other stuff, so we let it go. So $5 is exactly what I would pay for this. So my Mega Force collection is going to be made up of these metallic 5 inches, mainly because I have 3 or 4, and I've got them all for $5 or less so far. So I'm pretty happy with that. But that was at the toy show in Salinas. I forgot. The last thing I got, and this I don't know what I would say, regret, but I shouldn't. I got this at a Barnes & Noble. This is Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. It's a pretty cool figure. You know, for a likeness, like, toy makers seem to have a hard time getting actors' likenesses unless it's a high-end Hot Toys or something. She's not bad, and it's in good shape. I don't collect Game of Thrones figures. I like the show. I don't have any of them. I do like her. She's one of my favorite characters. And she was on the clearance bin. That's what this big red dot means, which means she was 75% off. So it was a $20 figure, $5. I got it. It was a good deal. She's a good figure, but I don't really collect these. So I'm either going to open her up and put it like with my DVDs by my TV, or I'm going to resell it or return it. I was kind of just like, whoa, what a great deal. I like Brand of Tarth, but like, there's only so much space in my house, and most of it's devoted to Ultraman, Power Rangers, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Doctor Who, etc. So anyway, I'm going to end that. This is Gazbot, Toy Shop!